I'm asking, do you believe electric cars are a risk to national security? Ministers have warned that the Chinese state could use electric cars imported from China to spy on Brits. From 2030, it will not be possible to buy brand new petrol and diesel cars in the UK as part of the drive to achieve net zero by 2050. And China is widely expected to dominate the electric car market in this country. However, government sources have expressed fears that technology could be embedded in the vehicles to harvest considerable amounts of information, including video footage, audio recordings and location data. And these fears are not ill-founded. In January this year, an intelligence officer claimed that a Chinese tracking device had been discovered hidden in a UK government car. So for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, do you believe electric cars are a risk to national security? Well, let's see what my... where are my panellists? Are they there? Who have I got? We'll do that in just a moment. I think we've got some weather first. Are we doing weather? I think so. No?
It's very warm outside.
Is it very warm, is it? No one's going to speak to me, so I'll just carry on talking.
The weather is cancelled.
The weather's cancelled. Oh, there we go. There they are. Right, so who have I got there? Who have I got? I've got, Brian Catt, wonderful Edwina Curry, Neil Hamilton, and also Stephen Pound. All right, well, I'm going to start with Brian Catt, because he's our engineer and physicist, and he knows his stuff about electric cars. Is it true, Brian, is there a reality that they could be infiltrated by the Chinese?
Well, I was trying to think this one through. I got fairly short notice, but the answer to your question is, if you have a problem about it, it's a bit like Cisco routers and things like that. You use the Huawei ones that they replaced them with. It doesn't matter as long as the people who are driving the cars are not a security risk. So you could say, OK, just for the government, no Chinese MG cars, because that's a daft idea. And in fact, I'm sure most ministries would say the same. Trying to get a ministry to put their stuff off the server in their basement and out onto an Amazon one is pretty hard. They're not going to do that. So it's a daft thing to do. For everybody else, who cares? How are the Chinese going to track 20 million people driving around in cars, and why would they want to?
Okay. Why would they want to? Well, I think I'm a pretty interesting person. They might want to know where I'm going. Edwina.
Oh, I don't mind at all. I don't mind if California wants to know what I'm up to in my Tesla. I give them permission to use the data, and I'm happy that they should do so because that helps to improve safety. And I really don't mind if the Chinese want to know. I mean, if they want to ask me, they will probably have to have a contract with me of some kind. I think this is a hoo-ha. The Chinese are busy chasing security issues through every kind of gadget, far more important ones than electric cars.
Well, is there not a risk, though, that the Chinese could, that these cars could be sort of controlled externally by an external power? So you'd be driving your car, and suddenly your control will be taken away from you. Is that a possibility? I'm going to ask my physicist, Brian Catt, is that a possibility?
I suppose it is. Yes, kill them. I can see Alexander Armstrong putting his finger on the button and saying, "Kill them." But in reality, is that going to happen? Probably not. I mean, the best idea, of course, is not to have EVs in the first place because they're more polluting.
Whose phone is that? Somebody got a phone going on here. It's Brian. Brian, sort out your phone, for goodness sake. Right, I'm going to go over to Neil Hamilton. Switch off your phone, Brian.
China is an aggressive authoritarian state that's bent on world domination. Their Belt and Road Initiative is used to sort of buy up African countries and other countries in the third world. And they're determined to take back Taiwan, which controls the production of 90% of the world's computer chips. We ignore China or poo-poo their ambitions at our peril. I think we should be disengaging from China on everything which could be of strategic importance to us. Shall we not learn the lesson of Putin's invasion of Ukraine and the energy dependence which Europe had on Putin as a result of idiotic decisions by Angela Merkel and the EU in the early years of this century? China is a country which must be regarded ultimately as our enemy. And whilst we can still trade with China on things that don't matter, for things where we have high-tech technology concerns, we should certainly not be handing them control or potential control. So I'm all for scrapping our links with China on things like electric cars.
Stephen Pound.
Well, I think there's a fair bit of hysteria here. The idea that your toaster is secretly spying on you, or you're hacking down the M40 one day and suddenly the Chinese make you drive off a cliff. I think that's a bit bonkers. But the real scandal here, the absolute real threat we have here, is that this country, which is one of the first countries in the world to develop motoring technology with Germany, first country in the world that had so many things. We no longer have our own steel industry. We no longer have shipbuilding. We no longer have control of our electricity, power, gas, water, cars, because we've let everybody else take over the market. The real scandal is that these are not British cars made in Britain for British people. Then we would know what goes in them. Trackers on the backs of cars that you mentioned in your lead-in, they're a different thing altogether. Anything, you can have one of them on your bicycle for all you care. But the reality is, the more dependent we are on external manufacturers and external suppliers for every single thing, from the water that we try to wash into the cars that we drive to the steel that we use, the more vulnerable we are. And if ever there was a case for actually building it better in Britain, the place that invented most of these things, this proves it, as far as I'm concerned.
Waterston, thank you
We
very
can't
much.
do it. Because
Go on. Is that
We flipping well should.
we can't do it, Stephen, because of our wacko policies from net zero, which have made us have sky-high energy prices, which have destroyed our steel industry, our glass industry, our cement industry, anything which is a high energy user. And electric vehicles are an absurdity anyway, because the mass that you have to move in an electric vehicle is vastly greater than with the internal combustion engine. So you need more electricity in the first place to move them. And then you've got the battery technology, which we can't control because lithium, cobalt and other rare
They're all
metals.
Neanderthals. They're all Neanderthals. Catch up.
Well,
Come on. We're in this
I'll
century,
have
not
more
in the
control.
previous one. And the electric
We
cars
lost
are
those
absolutely
industries long
wonderful.
before
I
everybody
would
took
very much like to
era.
see them
We lost
manufactured
those
in this
industries
country.
years ago.
I
Well,
think that
they're
would be
all
really helpful.
Hang on, stop.
Have you got an electric
Let
car?
Edwina finish. Edwina, you've got 10 seconds and I've got to move on. But Edwina, sorry, you have the last word.
Oh, tell the Neanderthals to catch up. We're in the
Have you
21st
got an
century,
electric
not the
car yet?
18th or the 19th.
Have you
Well,
got an
thank you. That's
electric car,
Edwina Curry, Neil Hamilton, Brian Catt, and also Stephen Pound. Thank you so much.